So this is fun. Yesterday, January 6th, was National Bean Day. Thanks to my sister for texting me that because I had no idea. But I've been talking a lot this week about dietary fiber and why it's important. And black beans are a really easy, inexpensive, and nutritious food that adds fiber to our diet. So sometimes for fun, I like to hide or add beans to all kinds of things, sometimes that are a little bit unexpected. So here's one of those examples. I used inspiration from this book called Justine Cooks, which I highly recommend. She has some awesome recipes in there. But at the end of the book, she has a section of desserts, and one of them was for an orange truffle brownie. And so my creation is loosely based on her recipe. I'm sure the original is even better. But I took this brownie recipe and I added my trusty can of black beans. I just put them in the blender and puree them until they're smooth and dump the whole can right into the brownie mix. And then also if you wanted to make it gluten-free like we did, I replaced the flour with pureed oats. So my daughter came down in the midst of all of this silliness and was giving me a hard time. She's like, who puts legumes in the brownies? That's gross. And we had a good laugh about it. And I said, you know what, just wait. And at least give them a try before you pass judgment. So she did. She was a good sport about it. And sure enough, she had to admit that they were actually really delicious. So this was really fun. And I got the opportunity also to share it with my son for breakfast this morning because he was asleep when all this was happening. So that was a fun treat for him as well. Instead of me offering him eggs or oatmeal this morning, I said, hey, buddy, do you want to have a brownie for breakfast? And he had, a glass of milk, this brownie, and a cup of raspberries, and that was his breakfast. And I was laughing to myself because even though he thought he was having a great treat and having a brownie for breakfast, he also had a meal that was pretty balanced. It had 13 grams of protein, 13 grams of dietary fiber, a serving of fruit, and a serving of dairy. So that was fun, and just a little example to show how we can make it fun. It was a good jumping off point for me to have a conversation with my daughter about, why beans are good for you. Why would anyone put beans in a brownie? Just a chance to sort of talk about, why this is a food we might want to eat, and also make it really fun because we put it in a dessert. So, if this appeals to you, drop me a follow. I'll be sharing more recipes and ideas. And if you have found, tips or tricks to add more nutrition to your family's menu, I would also love to hear them. So leave me a comment. Thanks.